Hey everybody, and welcome back to Northwest Craftsman. Today we're going to be talking about dust collectors, what my dust collector system looks like, and why you should have one. So the system that I have consists of a Cyclone separator with a catch container and a shop vac. Now the simplest solution that you can have if you're trying to set up your own dust collector is just to do a shop vac, because that's going to filter out everything that you need, but you're using your filter bag or your filter itself to filter out all of the dust that's coming in from the air. By attaching a Cyclone between what you're working on or what you're vacuuming up and your shop vac, you can keep your shop vac really clean, and the Cyclone will do all the separating for any of the solid masses. I work in 3D printing, and we use these guys all the time to filter out the fine nylon powder that we're printing with. And it's a really simple construction. You can order one of these guys online from Amazon for super cheap. And well, it doesn't seem super cheap, but it's really worthwhile. I'll have a link down in the description so that you guys can see it. But it is absolutely incredible how well this guy filters out. Now, if you're going to go to the other end of the spectrum, so I kind of sit right in the middle, or actually on the lower end of the middle, but you can go all the way up to just crazy dust collector systems that have individual hoses to every single one of the tools that you have, that have hoses strung all the way across the ceiling, all the way over to a commercial like 100 horsepower fan or multi-100 horsepower fan and Cyclone, so that it collects everything into a big old bag. If you have a shop that you have set up and you have permanent fixtures for where everything's going to sit, that's kind of the way that you're going to want to go, because it's really easy. However, in my situation, because my shop is still so mobile, that's not something that I can really do. But enough of me talking. Let's go ahead and start looking at how the system works and how things get put together. And yeah, we'll just take a look. So the reason you don't want to just use a shop vac is because of this. I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see this, but see all the crap that's inside of the filter, and you can see all the shavings that I've had up until this point. That's why you don't want to just use a shop vac to try and filter out your for your work, especially because the shavings that I was vacuuming up were from my hand plane, and so they're nice and big, and they're not going to affect the filter very much. But once you start working with fine sawdust, that's going to be an issue. So once I got my Cyclone hooked up and I was using my planer, this is what the shavings looked like. I don't know if you guys can see this very well. Let me autofocus that. But you can see, here's what the shavings look like as they're coming out of the planer, just super fine. This would clog your filter in just an absolute heartbeat. But when you do them through here, they just get collected all nicely, and the Cyclone stays nice and clean. I mean, this thing is really just incredible, and you can there's story after story after story online about how amazing these things are. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what this guy looks like, how it works, and I'm just going to dump out these shavings right here because I don't have other work that I need to get done. So I'm going to dump out these shavings and then vacuum it back up to show you guys what it looks like. Maybe it's just me, but cyclones aren't only efficient, they're kind of fun to watch because you can see all of the debris absolutely getting sucked out of the air. But here's kind of the moment of truth to see if any of that really fine sawdust made it into the shop vac. And it looks like some of it did. You can see a little bit more on the filter and a little bit coming around. It very well could have been how much I was vacuuming out of there, or the rate with which I was vacuuming that pile. But the other thing, I really ought to do a proper test on this and have an empty shop vac before I start. So we'll go ahead and do that test another time. But overall, you guys can see how much got put into here, or I guess we'll see how much got put into here, but I'm going to guess it was plenty. Oh, one-handed, 1 second. Alrighty, so if we go ahead and look inside of this guy, You can see a vast majority of it did actually make it in here. The Cyclone did a pretty good job of filtering it out of the air, even though it looks like some of it did make it into our shop vac. Overall, this takes a whole bunch of it out, and we'll do a more scientific test later with an empty and clean shop vac so that we can see how much of it actually made it in. Okay, so one of the other things that I wanted to address while we're talking about this is if you are going to get this Cyclone, Oneida says that it's got a 2-inch fitting on both the top and the bottom, which does not match the 2.5-inch fitting that comes off of here, off of most of this dust ports. So most dust ports you're going to see, actually, we'll talk about that, have a 4-inch fitting or a 2.5-inch fitting. And you can have your entire shop hooked up for those, but Oneida, for some reason, has a 2-inch fitting all the way across. And I, for the life of me, could not find the right couplers to get through. But one of the things that Oneida did do is that all of these are tapered, and what I found out is that the 2.25-inch shop vac hose fittings fit perfectly over the top of it. They go almost all the way to the end, and you can actually see it's quite a bit longer, and you've got this ledge right here, but the 2.25-inch fitting that's on most shop vacs is going to work just fine. If you happen to have one that's a 2-inch, that should also work fine. If you have one of the little baby shop vacs that's 1 and change inches, you'll probably need to get an adapter for that so that you can hook up just fine. But I went online and I got a flexible hose like this, and I'll post the link down in the description below. But I got the flexible hose, and then I got 2 fittings for it so that it would work with this guy. One of the questions that you might be asking is, why do I need a dust collection system? And the recommendation is to get one if you're using power tools, or if you're going to be working on something that's producing a lot of dust or a lot of fine debris all in one go. And even with hand tools only, you can still get that situation if you're sawing a lot of stuff or sanding a lot of stuff. So to have something in the area that can suck that fine dust out of the air is really handy. The one that I have, I got it specifically because of my DeWalt 735, and as I start to get a bandsaw and a table saw and some other stuff, you really want to try and have dust collection hooked up on there to keep the levels of dust down in the air. You should always have a mask on of some kind, because if this fine dust gets into your lungs, it can really be damaging. So I highly recommend that you guys have something to manage the dust that's in the air, especially if you've got power tools that you're working with, because over the life of working with your wood and your projects and your tools, it can really be damaging to your body. Anyway, that's why you want to have a dust collector system, and that's the kind of dust collection system that I have. Thanks for joining me today, guys. I really appreciate you being here. If you have any questions about my dust collection system, go ahead and put a comment down in the description, or sorry, put a comment in the comment section down below. If you like the kind of videos that we're putting out here at Northwest Craftsman, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you like the stuff that we're doing on the channel, go ahead and subscribe as well if you're not subscribed already. If you are subscribed, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. In the coming months, we have some changes that are going to be coming up. I might be moving shops or moving to another place. And it should give me more space. I'm still trying to work out the final details on that, but go ahead and stay tuned. Next week we should be posting a video about how to or how cyclones work, because you kind of saw the Cyclone working in this video, but one of the questions that you might have is more from an engineering and scientific perspective. How exactly does the Cyclone work, and how does it filter out of the air? So I'm going to quickly go through and talk about that, and let me know if there's anything you guys want to see. All right, thank you guys very much. Find us on Facebook and Instagram at Northwest Craftsman, and I'll see you again. Have a great one. Bye.